All right, so let's go ahead. Yeah. Product design involves the entire design process. And what are these design processes? What are these design processes? They involve the discover, define, ideate, prototype, and test. So I'm going to explain this one by one as we go ahead. So product design involves the entire design process. While UI UX, that is user experience and user interface and user experience, focuses more on the hands-on design of the process. So let's just simply put it here. Product design involves user research, user interface, and user experience. But UI UX is more or less like just the design part of it. But product design is the master. It's, let's just say, it's the umbrella that UI UX is under. So whenever people ask you what the differences are, that is it. So let's go further and see what truly this UI and UX is. Did anybody ask a question? Okay. So what is UI design? This is the design and creation of elements that a user will interact with when using a product. For example, when you type a particular website you want to visit and it loads, the first thing you see, all those pictures, images, buttons, and the rest, that is the user interface, things that you can interact with as you see it, what you see first. That is the user interface. It includes buttons, sliders, graphics, that is the images and the illustrations and the rest, and other interactive elements that you see on the website or on a mobile app. Then what is UX design? That is user experience. This actually involves the user journey of a particular product. That is the steps and processes you take to make sure that the particular product you are designing or creating suits the need of the users. So it involves you conducting research. It involves you knowing the usability of the particular product, the functionality, and knowing the type of people that this particular product will appeal to. So there are steps in UX design, and we're actually going to learn them as the class goes on. So I wouldn't want to start saying all of it in theory. It's better we practice it and we understand it. So there are different questions that a UX designer asks, and some of these questions are: how is a user introduced to the product or the services? How is the user introduced to the product or the services that you're creating or you're rendering? Then what kind of interactions does a user have with this particular product? And how does the user feel after using this particular product? So these are all the things involved in UX design. These are the questions that um, a UX designer would ask him or herself that would enable him to create a very interactive and standard product. So let's just simply put so that you can understand what this is. So UI design focuses basically on the look, the design, and the details of a product. I'm going to explain that one by one. Just hold on. Okay. So you can see the screen. when we talk about the look of a product, we're talking about how the product interface looks like and how it functions. Then, when we're talking about the design, we're talking about the final thing, the characteristics of that product, how it is different from other products, what makes it different, the actual user engagement. So, this is what the design is about. Then, the details. The details is more or less the pages, the buttons, and the interactions that a particular user would have on that site. So the UI design focuses on those details and makes it look polished and functional. Then for UX design, it focuses on the feel, the prototyping, and high level designs and interaction. So when we're talking about the feel, it's the overall experience that these users they get with the product. Then for the prototyping, we're talking about simulation, live simulations. um Let me just explain it simply. For example, you go to an app, you click on a particular button, that button takes you to another page. Then in that page, you interact with that page and probably see a link to another page. So things like that is what the prototyping is all about. How the actual product would work, the navigations of the actual product, the user flow of that product. Then for the high level design or interaction, we're talking about the how consistent this particular product is. It ensures, that is UX design ensures that the user have a very collective user flow so that their experience would be good with that particular product. Are we following, please?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Okay. So for the importance of all right, thank you, Prince. So for the importance of UI UX, why are we learning this particular skill? What is the importance of UI UX? So let me share this with you so that you can see it, because images they last longer in the head than explanations. So you can see the screen. For UI UX or product design actually um, complements codes in the actual development phase or the actual development process. So UI UX relates to one another naturally. You cannot say you want to just study UI and you're not studying UX. Or you can't say you want to study product design and UI UX is not inside. So they are all naturally related and they contribute to a transparent design process that would lead to a better and more usable final product. So to illustrate this so that you can understand better, we all have bones, we all have skeletons. Yeah. So that's those bones we have is let's say is the UX, is the UX in this case. Then the UI is the flesh covering that those bones. Do you get? Are you understanding?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. What of the other people? Prince, Favor, are you understanding? Okay. All right. So let's go ahead. So the UI is the flesh covering the bone. Then the muscle, the tissues, the organs are the codes and the APIs that actually make this particular product work or functional. So that is just the simplest explanation ever that you can get. So always remember what the UI UX is. Then product design has its own processes. It has steps that you need to follow to actually get a better product. So we have the product roadmap, which includes the discover, define, ideate, prototype, and test, just like we stated earlier. So when we're talking about the discover, this includes you, the designer, learning about the users. And how do you learn about the users? You learn about the users through interviews. So when it gets to that point where we conduct interviews, you all will conduct interviews with potential users of a particular product that you will be developing. So that is why I said this class is very, very practical. So you learn about users through interviews, through surveys, through data analysis, observations, content mapping, and the likes. So you all learn how to create all these things on your own. Then we go to the second step, which is the definition. And this is where you, the designer, determine the features of the particular product you'll be developing. And how do you determine the particular features? You do so by using personas, by using empathy maps, by using storyboard, user stories, narratives, and the rest. Okay. Then after that, you have the step three, which is the ideate. And how do you ideate? This is you brainstorming. You conduct brainstorming session with your teams. You use the storyboards you've already gotten to create user journeys and to know the particular features of this app that you're going to use and how to apply it to your users. Then after that, you go ahead to prototype. We have paper prototyping, we have you creating wireframes, then you create high fidelity designs, then you create design documentations and the rest. Then the last step is testing. Remember, in the discovery or discover phase, you actually went to the users to collect informations from them. Now, the testing phase, you're going back to the users. You're going back to the users to get validations from these users. And how do you get validations? You use usability testing, you use A/B testing, you use SUS survey, heuristic evaluation, and analytics to know what they think. Simply put, you go back to the users and tell them, okay, based on what we got or based on the surveys we conducted during the discovery or discover phase, we have been able to create this particular design or this particular product. Now, look at this particular product. Is this something you can use, or you give them to use that particular product, the little part you've done, and they should give you their feedback if that particular product solves their problem or not, or if they have more to add. Then if they do, you take it back and create the main design. That is what testing is all about. So we also have the UI UX design process, which is very, very similar to that of the product design process. So it just involves you defining the problem, just like we talked about, collecting information, brainstorming and analyzing the ideas, and developing solutions. That is building a particular model for the product. Then you also present ideas and get feedback, which is also testing. Then improve and test the main design again. So these are the processes of UI UX. You can see it here in this picture. You can see it here in this picture. Can you see it? Can you see it? Can you see the design process image? Can you guys hear me? Okay, okay, good. So we have to know some terms that we would continuously use in product design, okay? And some of those terms, I'll be explaining some of them to you, while the rest would be your first activity for this class. So you go ahead and check those other terms, and when we meet in the next class, you tell me what and what you understand pertaining to those terms and how they are being used in product design. So that is your first assignment for this class. So the first time we'll be talking about is A/B testing. What is A/B testing? So A/B testing is a term or a process used to test two different versions of a design to see which variation is good or which variation performs better. So let's say you create a design, you create two particular design or two particular products, and no, let's say you create one design, okay? But you create two variations of that design. Maybe you used a particular color for the first one and a particular another color for the other one, or you use another shape of button for the first one and you use another for the second one. So you test those two by maybe asking your audience which they prefer to know which one is perfect for what you want to do. So you don't it's not just colors and buttons, there are other things too that you test in A/B testing. So that is just the simple explanation of how you use A/B testing or what A/B testing is. Then the second one is accessibility. This is something that should always be in your mind while designing because it helps you consider whether or not and to what extent a product or service can be used by everyone or can be used in everyday life. Okay, so that is what accessibility is, and this is a particular characteristics that should always be in your mind while you design. Because if your particular product or the design you're creating is not accessible or cannot be used by everyone, then you know that it's not going to make wave in the market. Then the next one is the affinity map or affinity diagram. This is used to organize your findings from research. It's used to organize your findings from research. So when we get to user research, we're going to know how to use this affinity map or diagram. Then we have brainstorming. We have brainstorming. Brainstorming is very simple, just you conducting a session with your team or with someone to know how you can go ahead to create your product or the steps you're going to take to create your product, which one works better, how you're going to do it, and the rest. That is brainstorming. Then we have brand identity. This is the essence of what a company is all about, what that brand is all about. And you need to know what a brand is all about before you start designing a product for them. You have to know what they do, you have to know the kind of services they offer to the user, you have to know their colors and what the company stand for and things like that. You have to know all those things. So that's what brand identity is. Then we have breadcrumb. This is the navigation system that shows where a user is currently on or situated in a website or a product. For example, you have, let's say, a shopping site. you go to a shopping site, and in that shopping site, you're in the home section. And in that home section, you have the men's menu or menswear menu. And when you click on that menswear menu, it takes you to menswear. And in that menswear section, you have sportswear. And also there you still have, from that sportswear, you have shoes. So this is how the breadcrumb works. It's going to show you a link in your address bar. And the link is going to be like this: you have the home, you have the men, you have the sportswear, you have the shoes, because that is how you followed it. That is how you clicked the link. So that is what breadcrumb is. That's just a simple explanation of what breadcrumb is. Then we have case study. Are we understanding, please? Before I go on, let me know I'm not speaking to myself.
Okay, sir.
Yeah? You can type. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. All right. So we have case study. Case study actually outlines the processes followed when sorry. Okay. Case study outlines the processes that you as a designer follow when working on a project. So it showcases the problem that you set to solve and the types of users that you want to solve that problem for, and the methods you use in solving that problem. Then the final outcome of that problem. So that is what it is. Then we have the three-click rule. The three-click rule, it states when a user will abandon your website if they are unable to get a solution to their problem within 3 mouse clicks. Okay, what does this mean? For example, I go to a site and I need information from that site. I load the home page, then I click either the get started or something. I click on it and I have to go ahead to search what I want. But after searching, something else comes up and I have to click on another page and click on another page, and I'm still not seeing what I want. I'm still not getting answers to my question. I'll definitely get tired and leave. So that is what the three-click rule is saying. If I load the site and I click the first button or the first page, I search what I want, immediately I get my answer. That is the three mouse click. The first one you load, the second one you load the second page, and then you type your answer and you get your questions. That would actually help the user want to always come back to that site and continue using it, because immediately they get answers to their questions or they get their problems solved. Then we talk about sketching. Sketching is another term. When we start doing wireframes, which might be next week or next 2 weeks, you would know how to paper sketch. Paper sketch is just you using your pen or pencil, and you sketch a particular idea you have for the product on the paper, and then you transfer it to your workspace, your design workspace. Then wireframe. When we talk about wireframe, what we should have in mind is architects. Architects, they always have blueprints. And what are blueprints? These are just like skeletal diagrams of what the actual building or what the actual construction they want to do would look like. So for wireframe, it is similar. Wireframe is just a skeletal sketch or diagram or design of what the actual product would look like. It is not the main product, it's just a representation of what it's going to look like. Then we talk about mock-up. That is another term that you'd continue to see, especially when we get to the presentation phase. Have we all gone through the course content I sent? Have we all gone through the course content? Did we download it? Okay, okay, nice. All right. So, mockup is a static representation of your design, or let's just say it's just a high fidelity presentation of your design. It makes your design looks attractive, it makes your design look presentable, and it makes your design sometimes, for example, let's say you design a website or a landing page and you want to present it or you want to post it in your page, your portfolio. You go ahead, or you want to maybe show it to potential stakeholders or people who you feel will invest in that product or something. You can go ahead to put that particular design in, let's say, a laptop mockup. They have laptop mockup, they have mobile mockup, they have different type of mockup. So you just put it there to make the people see how it's going to look like on an actual laptop or desktop or phone. So that is what mockup is. Then the 80/20 rule. This is something you should always have in mind when creating your designs. The 80/20 rule states that 20% of functionality and features in any environment or product will be responsible for 80% of the actions taken within that environment. So let's leave all the grammar. Let's say you design a particular product, 80% of that design, what will make that design functional is what will make that design sell in the market or the environment in which you created it for would be the 20% of the functionalities, that is the functionalities and the features, that is what that site or what that product is to do, the problems it is to solve. The design is just, let's say, 80% what they're saying and the rest. But 20% is the functionality and the features, and that is what would help that product to sell in the market. Did we get that? Do we understand that? Okay. Is it only Prince that got it? Okay. Priska, what about you?
I got it.
All right. Nice. So let's go ahead. Um, the next one is the grid. The grid. These are just systems of horizontal a system of horizontal and vertical line that provides good structure for your page. It provides good structure for your page and your design. It's more or less like lines. When you have a foolscap and you want to write on that foolscap paper, you don't just go ahead and start writing. For it to come out nice and look well, you have to rule lines and you follow those lines. You follow that margin. So that is what the grid is all about. So you're going to see that as we continue designing. The particular software we'll be using provides that this grid system for us. So it's not going to be hard to understand when we see it. So the last one we'll be talking about today is the MVP, which is the minimum viable product. The minimum viable product. Remember when I told you that you would go back to your users, that is in the testing phase. You go back to your users to find out if what you've created is something that meets their standard or that solves their problems. So what you're going back to them with is the MVP, which is the minimum viable product. These are products with enough features to meet the needs of early customers, and it also helps in providing feedback for future product development. So what I explained before, this is just the summary of it. So when you go back to them with the MVP, you get their opinion. If it satisfies their need, you go ahead and release the main one. But if it doesn't satisfy some of their needs, you add those things that it needs to satisfy and you release the main product. So these are the terms that you need to know in product design. So your activity would be posted in the group and you'll be submitting via mail. But for this one, you're not submitting, you'll be explaining to me in the next class. So make sure you go through each and every one of them. I can just randomly call you to explain any one for me. I can randomly call anyone to explain any of the term for me. So you have to understand it. You have to understand it, state the meaning, the importance, and the usage of the terms in product design because these are something you'll be seeing each and every time you design. So when you see them, I don't want them to be foreign to you or look strange. So, do we have questions? Do we have questions? Please,
I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
In regards to the assignment, do we have to do a write-up on it?
If you wish to do it, I'll advise you do a write up because these are things that you need to understand. So, for some people, when they're writing things down, they tend to remember it quickly because they put it in their own words and the rest. And as becoming a product designer, journey to becoming a product designer, there are other things that you also learn or encounter in the future, and you would always want to go back to a particular book or note to see all those things and remember because it's not everything you can put in your head, even if you understand them. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Who else has questions?
I do.
Okay.
For this activity,
Okay.
can we write it? Can we write it in Word or WPS and send it to your mail?
Yeah, you can, but I'm not asking you to submit, okay? I'm saying in the next class, just make sure you study each and every one of them. In the next class, I can call on any one of you to explain any one in particular. So you have to understand each and every one. That is how you submit. But classes to come, in the future classes to come, you'll be submitting via my mail and I'll teach you how to use the particular software that we'll be using for the class to submit your assignment. You invite me to your workspace. So when we continue, you'd understand that. For this class, we did not really need laptop. For the next class, we will be needing laptop because we'll be doing some installations and be working with them. So who else has questions?
No, for me, I don't have any questions. Thank
All
you.
right. I'm glad you don't have. All right. So do you have any other question that is not relating to today's class? Maybe future classes and the rest. Things you need clarifications on.
Okay, yes, I do.
Okay.
And while going through the class, I saw something like codes. When you were talking about the skeleton, the flesh,
Mm-hmm.
is this like this product design?
Mm-hmm.
Is it the same thing with programming, or are they two different things?
Programming has to deal with codes. Okay, programming deals with codes, but product design deals with design and interactions of a particular product. It deals with designs, it deals with colors, it deals with prototyping and the rest of a particular product. But codes deal with those things you type on your system to make that particular product. Okay, let me explain. Let me explain to you, yeah? When you finish designing on your software, you finish designing, you would have to invite the developers. The developers are the ones who code the code. So you have to invite the developers to see what you've designed, and they use those things you've designed to create the main product. So what you're doing is the actual design and how it's supposed to interact. So without you, they might not really um know the main product to create. So it's more or less like we are the front guys in this tech space. Okay, when it comes to creating products, the researchers are involved, the product designers are involved, the marketers are involved, then the developers are involved. So you see the importance. You see the importance. We are not doing codes here. We are not doing code, but the software we'll be using, it generates, while we design, it generates codes for the developers that would be developing that product. Do you understand it now?
Yes, ma, I do.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Okay. So you can see the importance. Product designers are hot cake. Oh, so take this thing seriously so that you can be hot cake in the market. Okay.
Okay, ma.
Okay. So this is where we'll be ending the class for today. Favor, you were the one that told me that you have church program by 2, right?
Yes,
Okay. It did not hold today.
it did, but it's not yet time. It's still 2:25, 2:59.
Okay. Okay. So you can see the classes do not even take that long. And what I'll do to help each and every of you is to sometimes I'll pre-record the class. So I'll just send you link to my YouTube channel. We talk more about it. Then you go ahead and do your assignments. And if you have questions, I'm always available to answer your questions. Is that fine?
Yes, it's fine for me.
Okay.
Yes, my it's fine for me. Thank you.
All right. Priska, what about you?
It's fine for me, too.
All right. So we should see ourselves as a family. If you have a question, you go ahead and ask in the group. Do not be shy, because one question you're asking might be helpful to another person. So sometimes we'll go ahead and interact in the group and talk, because after you finish this class, you'll be joining the community of product designers, and I want you all to be the best. I want you guys to be top notch. Already I have the batch A, you're batch B, and you're just 3. Batch A, I have I think 12 people in batch A, and I also have exclusive students that do not join group. So you can see you guys are becoming more or less like a community of designers. And as the class progress, I'll also show you which sites that you could visit to get job to hunt for product design jobs and the rest. Okay. So see you in the next class. If you have more questions that you cannot remember now, you ask it in the group. Hope we enjoyed today's class.
Yes, we did. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Priska and Favor, how about you? Did you enjoy the class today?
I did. I did. Thank you.
Okay. So I'll send the activity to the group. Thank you very much. See you guys.